a strong and stable leadership, a strong and stable government. The strong and stable leadership this country needs.
It all started in Bolton, North East. That mantra had its first outing in the church where Theresa May launched her campaign. It was a clear statement that she would take her fight deep into Labour seats, deep into enemy territory.
That was 7 long weeks ago, and back then the expectation was they'd win big, taking seats off Labour like this one. But on Thursday, that just didn't happen. So what went wrong?
3, 2, 1, and...
It's Marathon Day in Bolton, North East. This was just one of the Labour seats that failed to turn blue in the landslide that never happened. None of the forecasts were as bleak as this. It was hard to find Bolton voters who'd been impressed.
It was a disaster from start to finish. From starting off in Bolton and in Bolton North East, the Labour majority for the past 20 years, I think it summed up that kind of like a perfect metaphor for her campaign. It was completely misguided. It was completely based on some sort of wild fantasy she had in her head.
Senior Tories in Bolton told us the fiasco over social care really hurt their campaign. But for these runners getting ready out of the rain, there were other factors at play too.
I was going to do Conservative, like I have done before, but then after sitting down with my children and they looked online and they did a poll and they did some other things, they both decided that they both wanted to do Labour, and I thought, well, it's the children's future now, so I'll put my vote for them.
One of the stories of the campaign was the youth vote from school age up. We don't know how many influenced their parents, but we do know here they voted in high numbers.
Do you feel that you were very instrumental in what's happened in this election?
Definitely. I feel like we've caused it because we've gone from having such a small turnout amongst 18 to 24-year-olds to having a massive one.
Emily, Charlie, Dylan and Jude are 18 and at Turton High School. All of them voted Labour and encouraged others to do the same.
Social media had a massive impact. I feel like a lot of posts and stuff made on Facebook, a lot of them were quite comedic, which I feel like it kind of resonated with the youth to kind of, it put it on a personal level that they could kind of interact with it.
I think we just wanted to show the rest of the country that we do know what we're talking about. We are interested. We're not just going to sit back and let you who have had your years to do what you like with the country. We're not going to let you take over anymore.
Because they don't think that young people are going to turn out and vote. And I think by encouraging people to go and, cast a vote, I think you're challenging that and showing people that young people aren't just this sort of apathetic, silent body that are just going to sit by.
There's this kind of, oh, they'll never turn out. There's no point even appealing to them because they never turn out. And this shows that we do if you actually offer us something, that if you actually offer us a good deal.
This is Bright Met in Bolton North East. The Conservatives expected UKIP voters in places like this to move to them. But instead, Tory councillor John Walsh saw a late surge of young Labour voters at his polling station. Then he knew his party wouldn't win. Their own UKIP surge never materialised.
Many of those who voted UKIP were the salt of the earth, working class, hard-working Bolton families. They were not natural Conservatives, they were in large numbers Labour supporters who heard an attractive message from Jeremy Corbyn.
So Corbyn outplayed the Conservatives?
In that sense, yes, his campaign outplayed, and I give credit to him.
Is this the worst Conservative campaign you've seen?
I've got to say it probably was. And it probably was because it was too long, because it went off in too many different directions, and we didn't have a focus throughout the campaign as strongly as we ought to have had.
It's gin fizz night at the last drop in. As the gin and champagne flowed, an explanation perhaps of why the Tory wooing of UKIP voters didn't pay off, from one Nigel Farage fan.
I voted for him last time, and I voted for him in Brexit. Because he's not available, I went back to Labour.
Because the Conservatives thought that people like you might go from UKIP to them.
But I didn't believe what she said. I had no confidence in her.
Amongst voters here, Tory and non, nobody had a good word to say about the May campaign.
And all she had to do in this election, based on the lead that she had, is just not be completely rubbish. And that's what she was.
Do you think she can survive?
No, but I think what they'll do is they'll probably form a coalition if they can. And in maybe 3 to 4 months she'll be gone.
The government misjudged the mood music during this campaign. 2 months ago, they hoped a landslide would deliver them this seat and others like it. That strategy cost the Prime Minister dear. Voters in Bolton, at least, now see turmoil and confusion when what they want is clarity.